So one thing that I realized in America is that they do not even look at grants from government from a perspective that we would in South Africa, because they have a much broader scope and opportunities around philanthropy and foundations that tend to support journalism. So there's a massive emphasis on supporting journalism, especially on a community media perspective. They respect the fact that journalism needs to be credible and it needs to serve the community. That is a general consensus that I gathered from all the speakers that were addressing us from the media houses. So just to give you an idea of the kind of people that shared their business models with us, they ranged from very small micro businesses where it is a matter of 2 people running the show or 3 people running the show, whether it is Debbie as an example from one of the publications. She started the publication, she had a couple of people come sit around the table and said, look, we need to have a community newspaper. And they started off with online first, and then they went to print because there was a demand. Whereas it's a different story, it's a matter of going from print to online. So it showed me that there's value behind what they put into their journalism and what they put into their media products. The second thing is that the kind of people that were presenting to us were also ranging from people that were running very niche publications. When I say niche, very focused on a specific market or specific community, like the Amish. Amish are a very, not secluded, but a really unique community of really Christian-based religious individuals that do not use technology, they do not use electricity. They are craftsmen and also are very focused on family structures, meaning that you can't go to a bar and drink. You have to stay in the home and talk to your children, you know? So that's the kind of value they have. So they've got a publication there, and a gentleman called Milo, he's the one that runs this newspaper called The Budget. They have this newspaper and it's mind-blowing. It is so thick, it's not even believable. I mean, I would love to get into the print game. You know, that's why I was like, VJ, I want in, all right? I'd love to get into the print game if I was in America. So they run this publication called The Budget. And what they do with The Budget is that they get Amish people from across the country to send in letters in a little, like you know, those receipt books that you get. So they get they call it a tablet. So you get a receipt book and then you write specific number of words on that and then you mail it through, okay? Simon can join me on this one. But the thing is, it's actually community-based journalism. It's people writing about their instances, their situations. I woke up this morning and the sun was so bright and I went to church. The pastor shared that's the kind of stuff they submit. You know, it sounds very ridiculous to us, you know? And they print that, and they print that, and they make good money from that because it is their only source of entertainment. So they read what other Amish people are writing. So amongst themselves, they are actually writing for themselves. So that's just a nice, a similar a model that I was so blown away by. The other one, I was fortunate enough to spend 1 week with Richland Source, which is a publication in the Richland County. County, you can say a county is like a province. And they have a publication there, an online only publication, by the way, but they focus on solution journalism. Now, when you hear solution journalism, you think to yourself, gift of the givers coming through after a flood, and then they give something. You know, that's my first concept of what solution journalism is, but it actually is not. Solution journalism is really about finding similar instances from everywhere else where a problem existed. For example, if there's a flood in KZN, all right? Now, it's a problem. We can write about it. It's there. It's a flood. People have passed away, unfortunately. People's lives have been damaged. That is what mainstream media would focus on, the problem. So what they would do is they would say, well, in other places, like let's say Kenya, Uganda, America, when there were floods, Katrina, when there were floods, what did the community do to recover from that flood? What ideas around mitigating the problem or fixing a problem or finding solutions to a problem? What did government do before the problem existed? Was there stormwater drainage service, etc.? So they will write a series of articles around a particular topic. For example, if we look at load shedding at this point in time, it's a problem. We know when lights are out, they're out. It's a fact. But we can't report on the same thing. So solution journalism is about what is Venezuela doing? Because they've got the same thing. How are people actually finding solutions around load shedding? Because we know we can't all of a sudden have nuclear power or coal. We can't fix it. We just switch off. So that is what I found fascinating about solution journalism, is about finding a series. And the beautiful thing about this is the fact that they get people to fund that particular series of articles. So that's the mindset I would like to share with you now and kind of leave with you, is the fact that we need not to just look at, I know I'm a showstopper. So we need not to look at grant funding. We need not to look at focus on too much of advertising to fund our newsrooms. We need to look at unique ideas, like he was mentioning now, Mr. Hussein. Unique ideas around how can we do things differently. For example, can we start looking at doing a series of articles based on hustlers in our communities that are making it through load shedding? And let's get Eskom to pay for it. As an example, it sounds like a bizarre concept, but that's out of the box thinking. You see, so it's not really about reporting about the problem, it's also reporting about solutions. So that's solution journalism. And one thing that was also unique is that there needs to be multiple revenue streams. So not just advertising, not just grant funding from a South African perspective, and not just philanthropy, but also looking at things like events. Events seem to be a big thing. How community newspapers rally up or partner up with other institutions within your community to say, look, let's market this event. Let's be part and parcel of the revenue share at the end of the event. Let's call a spade a spade. So in a sense, not to look at it from a matter of we will come and report of the event. No, we want a piece of the pie from the event itself. We want to put our ideas in how the event needs to happen. Or we need to come up with the event idea and give it to someone else who is a good coordinator of events to run it, but it's powered by your newspaper. So those are the kind of alternative revenue streams. I think I've overstayed my welcome. I said 15 minutes and it's a billable. All right, but thank you so much. That is really much of a kind of an overview. And this is totally impromptu. I did not kind of prepare much for this because AIP will be doing a proper in-depth feedback session for the different provinces when the time is right. So I just thought I'd take the opportunity to give you a little bit of a synopsis. Sure.
The robustness of news print in the States, like you said earlier.
Yes.
It's moving.
Yeah.
Buzzing.
A little bit about that. Sure.
What you found different that why is it declining here in our country and it's rising in other countries?
Sure. I'd like to actually mention something about that, is that the type of journalism and the quality and sense of community makes people want the publication. You see, that's number one. Number two, they also pre-plan year in advance special sections, special pages in their publications. I'm just generalizing now, but one of the sessions was about special sections. We call it features. whereby you know that your community is turning 100 years old. You knew that last year that your community is turning 100 years old. So it's your responsibility as a newspaper to plan something in your paper about the community being 100 years old. Meaning that all the other companies that are in that community should be bragging by the fact that this community is 100. We want to say happy birthday. Features. Yeah. So those are other things that they focus on. Also niche concepts, niche markets like children. I'm just trying to think of a feature idea that they came up with. Yes, America is very strong on sports. You know, parents see their children as heroes. You know, I find it very interesting to know. You know, like my child already from standard 8 till matric, he's my hero. You know, because they know he's going to play this game, he's going to do this, and they celebrate their children and their sports, right? So what they do is they focus a lot on, let's say, sports, especially the publication that I went to. They use AI, which is artificial intelligence. I'll touch on that a little bit now, but they do concepts. I went to a cold call. It wasn't really a cold call. It was a pre-planned call, but I didn't know it was actually a client meeting with a bank. So we sat there. I thought it was going to be they called it a sales meeting. I thought it was a sales meeting. How's the budget? You know, how far? But it was actually a client meeting with the owner of the bank. And we closed the deal. The deal was around highlighting or celebrating Sportsman of the Month, School Sportsman of the Month. The bank rolls that. So the bank would pay the school $900. Times that by 2, that's $1,800. That is not, add another zero. That's 18,000 Rand. If I can call it that. That's 18,000 Rand. They give to the school for nominating and having one of the students successful. So obviously there's a panel that will say this one is very good, and etc. So they will then, the Richland Source newspaper would run an article, it's a series of articles. So they will run an article about that particular child from that particular school. But the child doesn't get the 18,000. The school does. The school does, because they can't pay. It's illegal to pay for schools. For school, pay kids for sports. So yes, niche, and also strong community-based journalism that makes sense, that makes people want to keep that copy or read it through and through. So that's pretty much why I would think the print industry is thriving there. Then the last one, finally, which is AI, artificial intelligence. I know it sounds very daunting now, it sounds very scary, that AI is going to take away our jobs or take away journalism, there's just going to be news pulled online. That's the concept, right? So the Richland Source, what they do is this is the publication that I went to. What they do is, do you know ChatGPT? ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is just like a WhatsApp. You write a question, it gives you an answer. You write, please rewrite this proposal, and it writes it in beautiful English, you know. And then so ChatGPT is very strong. It's a powerful tool. So they use a similar platform. Not to say that's the platform that they use, but what they do, they take the mundane type, not mundane, but like the normal kind of stories, like a game between this school and that school. The result was 1-1. It was a draw. So now why must you go and sit down and be romantic about writing about this draw? So they look at it from that perspective. They say, no, AI can write these kind of normal articles that we know. Then the journalist would focus more on the in-depth journalism, not writing about the stuff that, like obituaries. You know, a person died, you know, this is the history about the person. So they would use, I'm just making an example, not that they do it that way, but that's what I would see ChatGPT being a tool that could assist newsrooms. So AI is an enabler. It's not a scary concept. Richland Source uses AI to free up time for journalists to do the real reporting. the deep dive into solution journalism, and not just to report about a 1-1 draw from a school A and B. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. I hope that I've condensed, and I look forward to either presenting or my colleague presenting the outcomes for our trip for Gauteng. Thank you so much. All right, thanks.